Hello, 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 everybody. Can y'all see me? It looks like it's still glitching. Okay, it looks a little better now. Doo, 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 doo. Okay, it's more on time. Okay, yeah, it looked a little glitchy at first. What's up, everybody? What's up, Tasha? Thank you guys for your patience. I know I was supposed to start this about 10 minutes ago and just came on now, but my camera was acting up where it wasn't like, a karate movie where my mouth is moving, but the words aren't matching. So I was like, I got to get this right before I do this because I know the people are going to come for me because, they love to say, oh, AT2, all he does is talk about race and all this other stuff, which I don't mind when people say I talk about race. Do I sound okay, you guys? Hello, Mari. How you doing? Hello, 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 everybody. Thank y'all for coming in the room. Hello. Shout out to everybody coming in the room. Okay, I see y'all coming. Is Lady Letitia here? Lady Letitia. What's up, Winnie? Destiny? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So when I first originally transitioned into politics, I didn't think like I would have to go against Democrats or the quote unquote left about racism and stuff like that. I was under the impression that I was mostly going to be talking about the right and their bigotry and their racism and how they're destroying this country. But honestly, to tell you the truth, this moment in time, I don't like to say that I'm a Democrat, a leftist, a liberal, because they're all anti-Black. They really are. And this is a situation that did not have to happen, but it's going down. And I'm happy that it came to light because it needed to be exposed. Because I always wonder why Talarico never came out strong against his people that are using microaggressions or racism or anti-Blackness against Jasmine Crockett. It's because he kind of has the same sentiments as them. So again, this started when a TikToker by the name of Morgan, who actually does different communication. She has a podcast. She's a communication major. She interviews with different politicians and stuff like that. And she's actually based in Texas. Well, allegedly, they had a conversation where James Talarico said that he thought he was going to run against a mediocre Black man and not the intelligent or formidable Black woman. So we're going to go ahead and get into all of that. But first, we're going to start out with Colin Allred's statement regarding this news that he heard. And then we'll get into all the messiness of it all. Let's get to it, y'all. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started with the show, y'all. Here we go. All right, you guys. So let's go ahead and get into Colin Allred's response into being called mediocre or a mediocre Black man by James Talarico. Here we go.
Morning, everybody. It's cold out here, and I got some steam coming off my head because I'm, just finished my workout. Got some steam coming out of my ears too. I understand that James Talarico had the temerity and the audacity to say to a Black woman that he had signed up to run against a mediocre Black man, meaning me, not a formidable, intelligent Black woman, meaning Jasmine Crockett. Let me just break this down into a few segments here. First of all, let me just give you some free advice, James. If you want to compliment Black women, just do it. Just do it. Don't do it while also tearing down a Black man, okay? We've seen that play before. We're sick and tired of it. We're tired of folks using praise for Black women to mask criticism for Black men. That's not good for our community. It's not good. It doesn't work, and we know what you're doing. Okay, so if you next time you want to praise a Black woman, just do that. Leave black men out of it. Just leave a lot of things out of it. Second of all, did you ever have a coach or somebody, a leader in your life tell you that when you make an accusation, you often have a bit of confession in it? Maybe you use the word mediocre because there's something creeping into your mind about yourself. Because I know you're not talking about somebody who's been better at 3 things than you've ever been at 1. You are not saving religion for the Democratic Party or the left. We already had Senator Reverend Dr. Raphael Warnock for that. We don't need you. You're not saying anything unique. You're just saying it looking like you do. Okay? And third of all, let me just say to all the young black men out there, all the young men who come from tough background, struggle growing up, who maybe think that someday you want to put yourself forward as a leader in your community. It's going to have haters like this are going to show up. Okay? And you're going to feel like you have to be twice as good and jump twice as high and talk twice as well. But you don't have to. You can walk out there with your shoulders back and your head held up high, knowing who you are and the value that you bring, and understanding that this comes with the territory and that there's going to be folks like this. And when we see them, we should say thank you. Thank you for taking off the mask. Thank you for telling us who you really are and what you really think. And goodbye, okay? Because we're on our way and we don't need you to come with us and we don't need your help to get there. So with that being said, go vote for Jasmine Crockett. This man should not be our nominee for the United States Senate. I wasn't going to get involved in this race, but listen, don't come for me unless I send for you. Okay, James? And keep my name out of your mouth while you're at it.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what's funny about all this, well, it's not actually funny, was that Colin Allred was originally in the race, but when Jasmine Crockett had let him know, like, hey, I have some internal polling that's saying that I have a good chance of winning, he ended up dropping out and it was all like, okay, I'm going to run for Congress. Well, Jasmine Crockett also shared those same numbers with James Talarico. And instead of him, bowing out gracefully, he was like, no, I'm still going to stay in. So, this is where we are right now. So again, Colin Allred was in the race and James Talarico was under the impression that Jasmine wasn't going to, jump in the Senate race. She was just going to stay with Congress or fight for her seat or whatever. Well, it's not her fault that she changed her mind, because let's not forget, her seat was basically taken off the map. Texas was redistricted, in the way where they fixed the map, all the gerrymandering. So her seat was gone. So it was kind of like, okay, well, she can fight for another seat, or, hey, why don't I just go for the Senate? I got the name recognition. The poll numbers say that I would do good. I have the best chance or the best shot. Let's go ahead and do it. And so she jumped in the race. And so there has been this attack of how dare she jump in a primary where everybody runs. How dare you jump in a primary? This has been the question. And it's all like, well, in the primary, aren't we supposed to pick the best candidate? Well, Texas is supposed to pick the best candidate, right? So there's nothing wrong with competition, And so this information came out from this TikToker named Morgan that he called, James Talarico called Colin Allred the mediocre black man. And so this is where the backlash has come. So people are telling Colin Allred, oh, how do you believe a third-hand information, second-hand information, blah, blah, blah. So they have been coming for this woman, you guys. It's very disgusting. So I want to go ahead and play you her TikToks. Here we go. So this is the first one right here.
Black man, not a formidable and intelligent black woman. And I want to explain why this is problematic, especially as he shifted his problem. James Talarico told me that he signed up to run against a mediocre black man, not a formidable and intelligent black woman. And I want to explain why this is problematic, especially as he shifted his current approach in the Texas Senate race. Now, before I get into the conversation that led to this comment, I want to put it out there that I supported Talarico and plan on voting for him before Jasmine Crockett joined the race. I'm voting for James Talarico. So I plan on voting for him when he was running against Colin Allred, the mediocre black man that he's referring to. Now, no matter how you feel about Colin Allred, the man is an attorney, a former professional football player, and a former congressman. But I'm not bringing this forward because I want to bring any more negativity to this race. I care way too much about Texas to do something like that. But I do think it is my responsibility to bring something like this forward. And I do think it also indicates some things that are pretty important when it comes to how he's moving with his campaign. The obvious intimidation of Jasmine Crockett, along with the racially charged disrespect of Colin Allred as a black man, indicates something deeper than just a overly familiar comment that is coded in a compliment for a black woman. This explained to me why he would jump at the opportunity to play victim at just the mere thought as anything other than positive being out about him. And it also explains why he would say something like attack ads is what she planned on doing when the actual video he's referring to says nothing of the sort. Using this language when you have the privilege of being a white man, when people across the political spectrum are also using the angry black woman that's aggressive trope to attack her, is microaggressive. That's why I previously stated that this is an indication of.
So I want to point out one thing. So Talarico had put out this statement about Jasmine Crockett, one of her donors, saying that they're going to start attack ads on him. And that's not what was said, that they were going to do attack ads. And quite frankly, they don't need attack ads because she's been in the lead this whole time. So why would she start doing attack ads? Like, basically, one of the criticisms is that Jasmine Crockett hasn't been doing a lot of ads and stuff like that. Well, I'm thinking she's trying to save that money because she could use that against Ken Paxton or John Cronin. Like, she's trying to use it against her actual opponent. She don't want to use it against James Talarico because that would be a waste of money as she's already in the lead. So why would she waste money doing attack ads? So that didn't make any sense. So that's what she's talking about.
His insecurity around his candidacy, or it's indicating that he has something to hide. So getting into the conversation that led to the comment from James, I was angry and concerned after receiving an email and a text message from James Carville on Talarico's behalf for donations. James Carville is a Democratic strategist that has made comments recently about the need for Democrats to drop woke politics and even wrote an article in November for the New York Times saying exactly that. And I'm always going to advocate for Black people because I don't care about how much you talk about affordability, housing, healthcare, or whatever. If woke politics is not included in that, which directly impacts Black people, then we're left out of that conversation and policy. So I made that known to the campaign as someone that has a possibility of sitting in that seat. Now, up until this comment, the conversation was going well. That's why it threw me off so much to have a white man say this to a Black woman who was coming to him with concerns in relation to him for Black people. That is why.
Okay, so this was her initial video. It sounded kind of low for me. I thought it was just me, but it's for you guys too. So after she was getting backlash,
called Colin Allred a mediocre Black man in a one-on-one conversation.
Here we go. So again, after she got backlash and basically everybody was saying that she was lying and she made this up, she was like, okay, let me go ahead and pull out the receipts. Because again, in her first initial video, she admits that no, she did not record the call. She did not think about, well, not the call, but when they were speaking, like she didn't record it. Like that wasn't even her thought process or anything. Because one thing, she was going there to try to advocate for Black people because basically he was being advised like, okay, well, Jasmine got the Black vote. So, just put the Black people to the side and just continue with everybody else making ground. And he agreed that that was a bad strategy. And she was trying to advocate on behalf of Black people as she is a Texas resident, because a lot of these people that are doing all these negative ads and talking about Jasmine Crockett, they don't live in Texas. You'll see them from New York, basically all the coastal states, like me in California, like a coastal state. You're not even in Texas, so it shouldn't even matter to you, right? But here we go.
So I'm going to walk you through kind of what this looked like and what led to this conversation so you all know what actually happened. So this is the photo I took with him at the town hall. It was on January 12th in Plano. And just to establish that we actually know each other and he knows who I am. He follows me on here on his account. We're mutuals. So probably not for very long, but it's there. I also talk about going to his rally here in Dallas. It was in September, on September 18th. In this video, and this is a video I posted interviewing him at that same town hall in September. So, okay, so as far as the actual conversation is concerned, this is the staff person. This is the text thread I have with them They have a creator program. The person that I'm speaking with runs that program. They send us stuff. They'll send us like press releases. They'll send us updates when he like has certain interviews or there's new numbers coming out as far as like, fundraising and stuff like that. And that's what this was. She sent me this update on his fundraising. And this was my response back because a lot of times when they're sending you things, they're wanting you to actually cover it. So just to add some additional context from the previous video, the response that I'm about to show you, I sent it to her because I was already upset about the James Carville email and text message, because I was already upset at the fact that this man that has said that we need to drop woke politics is now sending emails for donations on Talarico's behalf. So wasn't comfortable with it. I decided to take a step back from covering it on my page, and this is what I sent in response to her. Feel free to pause and look at it. This is her response to me saying, hey, didn't like this, not comfortable talking about this anymore because of it. She said, hey, let's hop on a call. I'm free for the rest of the day. So we get on the call. She tells me or tries to explain away the article basically. And it was like, oh, people are getting caught up in the headline and that kind of thing. And I'm like, I've read the article. This is not a headline thing. I don't like what I read. And I'm like, also don't like people co-opting woke the way they have from Black people. It really bothers me. And she tried to explain what was happening with them working with Carville, whatever, however you say his name. And I was just kind of like, it's not really changing anything for me. So I think she could kind of pick up on that. So she offered for me to have a one-on-one conversation with James directly, because she was like, I know I can say all this stuff, but it probably would mean more if it came from him. I was like, yeah, actually, yeah. So she was like, you can have the conversation on the record, you can have it off the record. And as far as just to explain my thought process while I was having this conversation with her, I didn't want to have the conversation on the record because this wasn't something I was trying to put out on my page. This was me less so coming as a content creator, more so coming as a voter and a advocate for my people and a potential.
So pause real quick because I want to show you guys this ugly motherfucker real quick. This is James Carville. He's like some kind of Democratic strategist, and he's been talking about identity politics and we need to get away from this and that. Typically what they've been saying, oh, the identity. Mind you, it's not the Black person that makes their identity a part of their politics. It's all the races that make their identity a part of their politics. But again, this is his advisors, that Democratic cicada looking old motherfucker, Tales of the Crypt. That's who one of his advisors is. Mind you, this is the same person who was all in for Kamala, and then all of a sudden after the election when she lost, oh, she was a horrible candidate. I can't believe the Democrats ran her and all. Yeah, he's old, senile, and need to go sit his ass down and eat his applesauce, bitch. All right, now let's continue.
Constituent, because I'm like, he still has the ability to win this primary race. And if that's the case, then I want to know that he's going to be keeping Black people in mind and not subscribing to this thought process that James Carville keeps pushing, right? So I was like, I'd much rather do it off the record. So that's the reason why there's not a video from this conversation I had with James. And I wanted the conversation to be candid. So that's why I was like, I'm not really trying to like get talking points or anything like that. I want to hear straight up what he's going to tell me. So she offers this. I say, let me think about it. And, I'll follow up. And she's like, okay, cool. So she offers times where maybe we could have this conversation. It was like Plano, Austin, whatever. I couldn't do Austin. So I was like, Plano, that would be preferred. And this is what the message I sent. I was like, would it still be possible to have an off the record conversation with him? She says, yes, of course. And this is where we set up the actual conversation before the town hall. This is where she's like, I'm thinking before the town hall, we have 5 to 7 minutes during the creator, blah, 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 blah. And this is where she confirms it. Okay. So you see that timing, January 9th. If you need more receipts, this is me running late to meet with him. She's like, checking in. I was like, sorry, things are crazy. Getting back to you, one moment, because she called me. So walking in, sorry, we're moving. Who do you think we are? This person. all the people questioning what I'm saying. And even below here, I don't know if you can see it, but she's like, is there still a seat next to you? Because I'm sitting in the town hall. I didn't actually expect to do that, but I was there. So this is where the conversation actually happens, right? So this is where we had me, James, and the staff person in this room having this conversation. The conversation ended up being longer than that 5 to 7 minutes she ended up saying earlier, but the conversation started out as normal, like it's like pleasantries. We're giving the normal, like how things are going, the campaigns, like how people are feeling, like that kind of stuff. Jasmine entering the race, like that kind of stuff. And then I get into the reason why I wanted to meet with him, which again, with me coming from a perspective of a voter as a black person that has concerns about the affiliation I'm seeing from James Carville. I won't get into the like nitty gritty of the details because this video would be way too long, but I tell him what I've said. I'm like, I'm concerned about this. Woke politics cannot be separated from Black people because it's something that directly impacts our access to resources and all this other kind of stuff. And I told him, I'm like, I'm concerned about you potentially trying to get Black people's vote in order to get in office and then subscribing to this thought process that's going to put us to the side, even though you're advocating for things like affordability, healthcare, all that kind of stuff, right? And he was like, oh, you don't want me to be a sellout. And I was like, pretty much, yeah. So that's where he goes into the like conversation of like, I care about Black constituents. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be trying to like actively talk to them as voters right now, because the polls do not show that that's something like it would be easy to pivot from that, because the polls are not great when it comes to Jasmine and James now that she's in the race. So the Black vote is very much more heavy towards Jasmine. Is not a surprise to many people. So he was acknowledging like, I could turn away from trying to speak to this audience, but choosing not to do that because it matters. So I'm like, cool, I hear you. A lot of other campaigns would have done that. So I'm like, okay, I hear what you're saying. So then we start talking about like him and Jasmine specifically. So I'm like, talking about how tense things have gotten. There was conversations we had last fall where I told him like, hey, if Jasmine enters the race, I think it's a really good idea if you all put out a statement after she joins, because people are already saying racist and microaggressive things online. And I don't think it's going to help the race. And I don't think it's going to help you or her if people lean into this thinking.
And mind you, he did put out a statement when she joined the race. So this adds up.
You're condoning it. So I recommend that you all like put out something so that, people can see that you are welcoming her into the race. Like this is not something that, is racism is not welcome here, basically. And that was conversations I had with his staff last fall. That is what he ended up doing. When she entered the race, he posted this video welcome her into the race and trying to, set the tone, basically. So, we talk about that a little bit. He's like, asking what the conversation's looking like publicly. We're talking about it. And that's when we start talking about the conversations about what races that they should have been in. Because there's this conversation consistently of like, James should have ran for governor, Jasmine for Senate, or, all that kind of stuff. And I tell him that. He was like, that is when he made the comment. He said, look, I signed up to run against a mediocre Black man, not a formidable, intelligent Black woman. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is something I actually factored into me not saying something at first, because when he said it, I kind of laughed it off, because I was like, it really threw me off. Like, considering the conversation we just had, I was like, oh, okay. Like, you know how like when you get thrown off and which is very much not like me. I'm very much somebody that like, I don't care the setting. Like if somebody's saying something funky about Black people, I'm gonna say something, but it really threw me off considering the conversation that we had just had, the reason I was there, that kind of thing. So in that moment, I did not say anything. But coming out of that conversation is when I started to be like, okay. So that is kind of how that conversation went. I quite literally have everything but like an actual like recording of him saying this. I even have a video of me asking this question of him of like how he feels about race and how that factors into his policy at the town hall. So that is what happened. I did not come forward with this lightly. I knew people were going to question me because I don't have a literal recording of the conversation.
So again, a couple of things. They're claiming that she's lying. They're claiming that she made it up. They're claiming that she's a part of Jasmine's team to try to slander him and all this stuff, right? So finally, about an hour ago, we get a statement from James Talarico. And a lot of people have been online defending Talarico, saying, no, he didn't say that. He would never say that. He's a Christian man and all this other stuff, right? Well, come to find out, Talarico did say it, but he's claiming that it's a mischaracterization of the conversation. So this is his official statement. He said, this is a mischaracterization of a private conversation. In my praise of Congresswoman Crockett, I described Congressman Allred's method of campaigning as mediocre, but his life and service are not. I would never attack him on the basis of race. As a Black man in America, Congressman Allred has had to work twice as hard to get where he is. I understand how my critique of a congressman's campaign could be interpreted given this country's painful legacy of racism, and I care deeply about the impact of my words have on others. I have always said that despite our disagreements, I deeply respect Congressman Allred. We're all on the same team. So he said it. He said it. Now he's saying, oh, I said that it was his campaign, not him as a Black man. But for me, whether or not you call his campaign mediocre or you're saying that he's mediocre, like, it's still an insult. It's not a positive thing either way. But he's claiming that he didn't throw the race thing in there. He just said that it was mediocre. Talarico, this is worse than you actually saying it. I think he should have just said, yeah, I was, being facetious. I was making a joke. I was trying to be lighthearted or something. He should have just admitted that he said it and then just try to clean it up a little bit. But him saying that, it was a mischaracterization. And mind you, this woman has been hounded and they've been saying that she's a liar. She made all this up. They're playing the race card again. How dare they? And here you go, James Talarico admitting, oh yeah, he did. Now, after this all went down, right? Morgan is claiming that her actual Instagram got taken down. Somebody commented, they deleted your Instagram. She said, yep, his team did. So her Instagram is still gone. Now, it's quite strange how after her criticism, her Instagram page got taken down. But again, this woman had been in communication with his team. Like, it's not like she didn't know anything about him or, she's just some random person on the internet. This is what she does. She had been in communication with his team and even was a big supporter of him before Jasmine Crockett even joined the race. So again, them trying to characterize her as like this person's just trying to be a psyop or she's trying to, do damage to his campaign. Well, things change when somebody drops a bomb like that on you. Like, whoa, like, what the hell? And mind you, she even says in this video, like, she knew it was going to come with backlash. She knew people were going to not believe her because it wasn't recorded. Here's the thing. Hopefully Morgan is watching. No matter if it was recorded or not, they will still find an excuse to say that you're a liar or that's not what he meant. They're always going to find some excuse. And it's so crazy that everybody's, saying, oh, you guys are saying that you can't attack her because, talking about Jasmine Crockett, you can't attack her because she's a Black woman and we should be able to criticize. Yeah, you can criticize. Like, criticize on stuff that's true, not a whole bunch of lies. As soon as she entered in the race, they started saying she takes money from AIPAC. And she does not take any money from AIPAC. Then they're all like, oh, well, she went on a trip. Yeah, she went on a trip in April of March or 2023. This was before the attack from Hamas. Oh, well, she voted yes on the funding bill. Well, yeah, if you know anything about the bills that are passed through Congress, especially because the Democrats have not been in the majority since Jasmine Crockett has been in office, yeah, they're able to put other stuff in the bill. And of course, like, okay, sometimes you got to vote for things that are unfavorable. But also, too, you got to think about the resources of your people living here in America. And she explained, like, the reason why she voted the way she did. She said, in those bills for Israel, they're also funding for Gaza as well, too, humanitarian aid. So it would be blocking humanitarian aid, you know, from people in Gaza. So you got to take the good and the bad, unfortunately. And like I said, the Democrats have not been in power since she's been in Congress. So yeah, she really, her hands are tied, you know? So again, this whole thing is crazy because James Talarico and his people, his supporters, have been the most racist, nasty, filthy human beings ever. It reminds me of when Kamala was running. It reminds me of when Kamala was running. Like, you've seen a lot of that same nastiness and that whole, oh yeah, they'll find something and just hound on it. Just like with Kamala, they found the whole Gaza thing, not found it, but they used the whole Gaza thing against her. Even though she said that she wanted a two-state solution, she thought what they were doing was wrong over there. Like, she said all the right things. What else did you want her to do? She was the vice president. She was not the president. There was nothing that she could do to change it at the moment until she got in office. But of course, they don't use common sense at all, right? But again, with Jasmine, they'll make this whole argument, oh, she's AIPAC, she's for Israel, she's for this. When Talarico accepted money from Miriam Elderson, the same woman who gave Trump over $120 million for his campaign, that same woman. And then he got on the debate stage and lied about knowing her. Yeah, you have never probably met her, but you accepted money from her. I mean, what politician knows everybody who donates to them? You know? You don't have to know her personally, but you know somebody that knows somebody that know her, because why did she give you money? Trust me, somebody don't give you money like that for no reason. But hey, what do I know? But I think it's sad that James Talarico has probably ruined his chances for the longer term. I don't see him running for anything else except like a local position. I think on the national stage, he was not ready. He was not ready for this moment. If he can't answer why he would impeach Trump and, you know, impeach Trump, also expanding the Supreme Court when it comes to ICE, if he can't answer those as yes, 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 you know, doing all that, you can't meet the moment. We want extreme change. You know how they think James Talarico is going to bring change? No, we need somebody like Jasmine Crockett, an actual fighter. And I do think that James Talarico would have won if it was Colin Allred. But again, when it came to that debate, he's not a good debater. He's not. Where he gave ideas, Jasmine Crockett was actually able to pull in her experience and the bills that she already has in place that's trying to get passed. Where James Talarico, he didn't pull anything from his actual experience, really, you know, of what he has done at the state level. And, you know, and I'm going to save Keith Edwards for later. I'm going to do another video on that. But higher learning, they can go to hell too with Keith Edwards, because basically they gave him cover. They gave him cover. They did not ask him the real shit, because, yeah, we got a lot to talk about with that situation, because, again, he's involved in all this too as well. But please go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I wanted to give you guys this information because I didn't really see anybody talking about it. Again, do I hate James Talarico? No, I don't hate him, but you know, this is definitely not meeting the moment of what we need right now. And Texas, y'all got a vote to make. Make sure you guys. So the primary already started in Texas, I believe, right? It's early voting already. So make sure you guys get out there and vote. Your voice matters. Shout out to everybody in Texas. Hey, y'all know what to do.